Hello everybody, Ghost Critic. Back for... no, actually he isn't. I'm really sorry. There are no comic book reviews this evening. It's been a bank holiday, so all the comics have been put back a day to collect. I have got them today, but just have not yet had a chance to read them. But I promise you'll get a review show tomorrow instead. So today, this was something I was going to do anyway, but I thought I don't want to leave you with nothing today. So I thought I'd start this a little bit earlier than I was expecting to. Anybody who watched, I think it was my comic Christmas haul video, would have seen at the very end me showing off this new collection that Marvel are doing over in the UK and the Republic of Ireland. This is the only place you can get this. So, sorry America. And they are doing a series of books that comes out once every 2 weeks called the Ultimate Graphic Novels Collection from Marvel, and they're putting together runs of storylines from, you know, the Bronze Age and the Modern Age. By the looks of it so far, what I've seen that they've teased us with, it's very much either Bronze or the Modern Age. I don't think they're going to go older, to be honest, but still they have some treats lined up for us. The very first one they have brought out, which I showed you, is this. It's the Amazing Spider-Man coming home. I suppose I can call these trades really, and this collects the Amazing Spider-Man, which was up to volume 2 at the time, and it's issues 30 to 35. It's written by J. Michael Straczynski and artwork by John Romita Jr. Just show you first around the book, because it's not just the issues that they put in there. There's quite a few nice little extras you get in here as well. I mean, firstly, it's hardback, which is nice to have. You've got a nice little glossy kind of photo there on the top, you can see with the awful light there. So when you first open it up, first page, kind of cover of Spider-Man poses, etc. And then you get a little introduction from the editor, and you know why they've picked this particular one. And what I think's really good, and especially if you're not familiar with a certain book or title, they do, the first page is the story so far. So you get what's happened just before this, so you're not just thrown into a storyline without any prior knowledge of where the character is right now and why they are feeling in a particular way. So then you get all the issues, you get all the 6 issues, and that is still not all you get. At the back there's an origins couple of pages which show the origins of Spider-Man and where he all started from. You get a little overview about the creator, so the writer, and then the artist. Nice little artist gallery there showing all different types of Spider-Man drawn by different artists. They then go on to show you Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery. Don't know if you can see that very well. And when their first appearances were, which were nice. They give you a nice further reading, just in case you want to spend some more money. And then a nice little kind of few pages of a sketchbook from the cover artist for all these issues, which is J. Scott Campbell. I loved the covers by Scott Campbell on these issues. You get all the covers in here as well. The issues, it's kind of that goofy, kind of almost cartoony, almost Todd McFarlane-esque in places kind of artwork, and you know, Spider-Man genre. So that's just brilliant. So that's the book. And there's the back of it there, so you can see the back. And so let's get to the story. Coming Home, issues 30 to 35. I haven't read this before. So I came in this fresh, if a little behind the time. And I had a great time with this. I read it in a night. I couldn't put it down. Which you'll pretty much find out why as I give a quick review of it. The story is just after him and MJ have broken up after her being kidnapped. She can't take the stress anymore. MJ's not actually in this at all. This is Spider-Man on his own, so to speak, with, you know, not a lot of people to turn to. And he's feeling a bit down on his luck. And of course Aunt May's there to try and pick him up. And he takes a bit of a trip down memory lane and revisits his old school. And what eventually turns out from there, he becomes a teacher there again, which is kind of nice. He tries to help a character who reminds him of him when he was his age. On first meeting him, he doesn't really do him any favours, but as the story goes on, he helps him to become more of a heroic character, and for, you know, the people to have a bit more respect for him than they would normally do. We get introduced to the character of Ezekiel. Now, from what I've read about this and what Ezekiel brings to the kind of Spider-Man whole mythos, I don't believe it was very well received, and it's never been used after this, and I think they've kind of forgotten all about it. I think like those organic webbing he had, I don't think they actually explained that away. But anyway, we're talking about this book. So yeah, Ezekiel turns up out of the blue and he seems to have spider powers too. Now, how's he got them? Well, there's a whole bit in here about, you know, how Ezekiel got his spider-like powers. And Peter Parker kind of feels an affinity to him. When you start first reading about the character, just like Peter, just like Spidey, we're very wary of him. He gives more questions than answers. We don't know quite whose side he's on because, you know, by night he's this guy that sticks to the walls and can, you know, jump across buildings without breaking a sweat. And by day he's this big multi-billionaire kind of businessman with kind of a cabinet, a cadre of people around him. So, you know, at the start you're like, is this guy what he says he is? And what I like about this, and I think J. Michael Straczynski really wanted to develop, but again I think this was kind of lost as the series progressed and hasn't been alluded to since, is Spider-Man's origin. And he, like it says, he does like the $64 million question. Did the radiation enable the spider to give him, Peter, his powers? Or was the spider trying to give his powers to Peter before the radiation killed him? That's a bit of a head spin. And then Straczynski brought in this idea of the totems, which I actually thought worked really well, and it didn't sound stupid at all. You know, obviously Spider-Man, the spider totem. Who is going to be his kind of arch nemesis? So you have other animal totems, you know, the scorpion, the vulture, Dr. Octopus, all these animal orientated villains that that Spidey has always been up against. has this ever been explained before? It did just seem such a coincidence that Spider-Man goes up against, for the majority of his villains, his rogues gallery, they are all kind of to do with animals. So this made, to me, it made sense. So of course, we find out, you know, still Ezekiel's a bit, we're not too sure, but he seems to be one of the good guys. But definitely our baddie of the issue is a guy called Morlan. Now, Morlan is, you know, a centuries-old kind of villain-esque type character, and to stay alive, he actually has to devour, eat, siphon off the powers of these totems. And of course, he's got his eye on Spider-Man. That's kind of where it sort of is flawed, because why doesn't he just go after one of the others, like the Vulture or, you know, the Scorpion? He'd probably have a better time and build up his power and wouldn't need Spider-Man so soon, I guess. But for the sake of the story, obviously, it's got to be Spider-Man he's going after. And it is just an awesome, epic smackdown of a fight. It is so awesome, it is so epic, it takes them 3 issues to finish it. I'll just show you like one page, which is one of the great double page spreads. Hopefully you can see that. It's just this Morlan guy and Spider-Man going at it. And, you know, I'm not usually a great fan of John Romita Jr.'s art. I find all the lines, the very kind of angular faces in all the characters, I find it a little bit off-putting. Didn't mind it so much here, but I have to give props to the colourist on this, which was Dan Kemp. The colours in Spidey's suit are just phenomenal. The bright reds, the deep dark blues. It is just a very nice comic to look at. Of course, you know, you think Spider-Man is on the ropes and this is going to be it for him. He's just going to be a ruined guy. But instead of using his, you know, spider powers, he uses, you know, Peter's brains to beat the villain, which is always nice to see in a Spider-Man costume. It's not always about, you know, the superhero powers. So it was nice to see Peter beat the baddie by using his, like, science and, you know, chemistry and all that kind of knowledge that he has to beat the bad guy. And it obviously finishes, this is no spoiler, if anyone is ever reading Spider-Man regularly for, you know, the last couple of years will already know this. This was the issue that Aunt May found out about Peter and Spidey. Eek! And it does end on that note. I really love this. If you're in the UK, this is at the moment, it's only £3 and you get all those issues in a nice hardback with a few, you know, nice features thrown in. You'll get a big poster. So yeah, good times. I love this. And even if you're not in the UK, I'm sure this is collected in some way or another. So that's the first one. Oh, one thing I did miss out, I think I probably told you, when you get the whole set, these spines make up a kind of diorama. Even though this is the first issue, for some reason it says 21, I don't know if you can see that, 21 on that, and looking at the picture it makes up, the picture kind of does come midway, maybe a third of the way through, so I don't think it's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, that's my first review of the first one of the Ultimate Graphic Novels collection from Marvel. I hope you liked it. I hope you want to go and see more. The next book they have, which I picked up today, is Uncanny X-Men. It's the Dark Phoenix saga, collecting Uncanny X-Men 129 to 137. So really looking forward to reading that one too. So yeah guys, again, sorry for not having any comic book reviews. I'm off to actually read the comics now. I will have the review for you up tomorrow, so tune back in, and arrivederci.